We're going to do a review of our first room that we did yesterday. Had a blast with Evil Dead 2. Initial thoughts, Mike?
I think as far as just immersion goes, I don't know if I've ever done a better, more immersive room. It was fun. It was funny. The design was awesome. I think it was the best voice acting I've ever seen in a room.
Yeah. So you liked it?
Incredibly immersive. I liked it. I'm pretty sure it's a 5 out of 5 in my book.
Oh yeah. It's what we knew going into it is one of the two that we knew of that were licensed by a movie franchise to actually do an escape room after this movie, Evil Dead 2, which we have not seen.
I was a little worried. Are we going to need to know the movie in order to do the room? No, you don't have to.
You don't have to. So let's start with what we're calling for now hospitality.
After circling the block a few times,
yeah, I would say parking not too difficult.
There was free parking. We actually parked for free downtown. It's downtown Seattle, like down there. You're what? Less than half a mile away from the Seattle Space Needle. It was close.
Yeah, we didn't measure it, but it was close. And there were some piers and restaurants, had some fish and chips at a restaurant near there right before we went in. That might have helped us think better. But
clam chowder.
Mike had the clam chowder.
It's good.
And it was really good. So we parked free, walked a couple blocks to get there. We did notice there's not much of a lobby, so I wouldn't get there a half hour early just to sit in the lobby because you're just going to kind of stand in the doorway. There was a host meeting us basically at the door when we got there, and she showed us to the restrooms and was very friendly, told us everything we needed to know.
I think we intimidated her when I walked up holding a camera. She wasn't ready for that. Kind of made her nervous.
Yeah,
knocked her off her game.
I kind of thought maybe she has a warrant out for her arrest because she
show this.
She did startle when Mike walked in with the camera. So we didn't get her name though. So
I think normally she's probably a lot more lively than she was.
If there's a bounty out for her, we're going to miss that one. Design, I tell you what, these people had I don't know
skill.
They had skill with figuring out how to walk into a room, and it felt like you just entered from your world to the next. One of the things I always look for in these escape rooms is you have to do your part and have a willing suspension of disbelief, right? If you want to enjoy it, then you have to leave at the door this could never happen. Of course it could never happen. It's not going to happen. But if you want to have fun for the next hour or so, then leave that at the door and just say, I want to give myself into this experience for the next hour. So does the room, does the person talking about the room, does that make it easy for you to suspend your disbelief and walk into an alternate universe?
Allow yourself to be fully immersed.
Yeah, and I think that it made it very easy. Once you stepped into that door, it felt like we're in a different world.
So there's different voiceovers and videos and things that you'll see throughout the room. They were the best I've ever seen.
Yeah, evidently they actually had professional actors from some movies and TV shows that we had heard of and had seen that they had gotten to do some of the voice acting and video acting in some of the elements there. Very well done, very impressive, and just added to a lot of the enjoyment there.
And the puzzles themselves and the locks were just part of the room. Like there were elements of that room that I just felt like there's nothing else that this element could possibly offer us. And then all of a sudden it turns into something else. It's a lot of surprises. Like usually you can walk into a room and you can guess what's going to happen. What door's going to open, what wall's going to move, what picture's going to do whatever. This room, well hidden. Very well done.
Yeah. I thought they had great use of more tactile elements that you could interact with, and then they had, 3, 4, 5 video screens that somehow interacted with you as well at key moments of the story. We disagreed on one thing, I know. They start you out with a toolkit with things like flashlights and a couple of items that you're going to need later on, and they just kind of say, here are all the tools you have, and they give you a little kit. Mike kind of liked that. I think it'd be better if you discovered those things. along the way, like you need to discover this tool for the next element. So I would like to lead into that a little bit more, but
So that's kind of a linearity conversation.
Linearity, good word.
So, thank you. So the idea is I'm going to discover an item right before I need to use it so that things stay in line. Whereas I kind of like, you get all these things and you got to kind of guess how in the future are we going to use these cards or this, these different, I don't want to give them away, but these different items, how are we going to use them in the future? And I think it's fun to have to remember back to,
kit.
remember in the kit there was this thing.
There was this thing that we haven't used yet.
That'll help us.
Yeah.
And so I kind of think that was fun. That's just kind of a personal preference thing. I've never seen such an elaborate kit. I've been in rooms where they'll give you 2 or 3 items, but never so much of a kit in a room.
Yeah, a lot of elements to begin with.
So one of my recommendations to you is really pay attention to what is being said, because they're going to give you clues towards the puzzles. And so it's not just the videos and the audio things that are actually playing into the storyline, are actually playing into the puzzles a little more than normal. It's not like if you miss a word you're screwed, but
yeah, and there was always something to do next. There was you had something you had to figure out. It's annoying to have a room where you're like, I don't know what to do next. We've done everything we can see, and then you have to discover, something, behind a bookshelf or something. This was not like that. You always had something you could be working on, something that was fairly obvious. Like, I don't know what that means yet, but there's something obvious here that keeps you going, and it kind of reduces the need to ask for hints.
There was a clue on every item what puzzle it should interact with in some way. Now, sometimes the clues are obscured cleverly, but it was very, if you paid attention, it was very obvious which item you should connect to which lock and which puzzle.
Yeah. Loved the room. There were very few things. Mike and I talked about things that annoy us, things that we would have done differently. Very little of that in this room. It was just everything was very well done. We would highly recommend this room. Any other thoughts you would?
And there were no mistakes. There weren't, like, everything worked well.
Everything worked
It
well.
was very smooth. We never had to think, uh-oh, this isn't working right. As far as entertainment value goes, so that would be the last section, just crazy fun. Like, laughing moments, scary moments, immersive all the way through. Just a lot of fun.
They give you 70 minutes to do this room.
Yeah.
We used 60-something.
Yeah,
of the minutes.
I don't know the exact time.
So 2 people, I think, could do this room if you're familiar with escape rooms.
Yeah, she said we had 10 minutes left.
But 4 people would be very enjoyable, and would keep 4 people kind of occupied the whole time as well. So,
yeah, I would say it's at least a 4 to 6 person room, unless you've done a ton of rooms, and 2 people could tackle it. It's possible for experienced players to tackle with 2 people.
Yeah, good stuff. Evil Dead 2.
Recommend it. Go 5 out of 5. What would you give it out of 5?
5.
Yeah, it's got to be. I can't imagine it not being a 5.
No, I've done too many 3s not to give this one a 5.
That's right.